You know what was great today, Dean? I had a
I
great
do.
day today. I had a great day. I had a great morning. Someone made me a great breakfast. It was delicious. It was a good day.
This
Yeah,
guy, right?
that's you. You did the good breakfast. You're a
Now,
hell of a chef, amongst other things.
before
And
anybody gets any funny ideas, it's not like Lev left my house this
Zev,
morning after
Zev,
Zev left my
it's
house this
fine.
morning after spending the evening.
Oh yeah,
Even
no.
though if you had imbibed or gone to some kind of party and you needed a place to crash, you're always welcome here. You're my brother. You're my family. This is what we do. But today was the first time, believe it or not, in a year of working together, a day after our 1 year anniversary, that we met. We had
Hmm.
breakfast. We
We did.
hung out. We talked. We had a coffee talk. That's what we did. And it was incredible. And you know what dominated our conversation, which I thought was wonderful?
Was.
Brian Noem's boobs.
I don't remember talking about his boobs at all, actually, but
Whatever. It dominated the
whatever.
conversation.
We did speak
Dude,
about it a little bit. It was good
yeah.
times. It was
Welcome to
good
the Five
times.
Stack, everybody. Thank you for joining us. We are here virtually. We were together today, physically for the first time. It's the way this digital internet bullshit works, is that sometimes you work with people for a long period of time. You're like, I've never met the guy. I've never actually shook hands with him. But this hulking middle-aged snack walked through my door today with Congressman Denver Riddleman because we had breakfast and we got together and we hung out and, broke bread and what was important to me here at that house, that table right behind me, as a matter of fact. And it was awesome because all we talked about was Brian Noem's boobs.
I don't think this is such a big story. I think you're just trying to make me feel uncomfortable by keeping raising it and raising it and raising. The guy has a
Really?
right to have.
Really? You don't think Brian Noem getting hauled out in front of the world as a cross-dresser while supporting his wife who has been targeting, are you ready for it? Cross-dressers, trans people, as having mental illness that should be converted. Her husband this entire time has been
It's not
dressing
like he
like a
is
woman in giant fake
actually.
hooters. Yes, wearing hot pants, pink hot pants, doing this look. Duck face, ready?
It's
Wait,
part
wait,
of a
wait,
new
wait, wait, wait,
trend.
wait,
Okay,
wait,
do it.
wait. This is what I'm going as for Halloween this year.
Yeah,
Brian Noem.
that's a very good Brian Noem. I mean, I've got to say, I couldn't do one better myself, and I'm not even going to try. But it's called bimbofication, if you want to know for sure. It's all about basically, impersonating, cosplaying a bimbo. Fake breasts, pink spandex. It's a
You
whole
got it.
trend going on in the world, and there's nothing wrong with Brian or anybody else wanting to bimboficate in private or
No,
public or wherever it is they want to
no, yes.
bimboficate.
You
I mean,
no, there's nothing wrong with anything Brian, whatever his fucking name is, Brian Noem. There's
yeah,
nothing wrong with anything he did. He, in the comfort of his own home, would like to get a nice set of enormous prosthetic
really
breasts
big,
on
really
with
big.
nipples that look like they were like 2 jelly beans deep, right?
I
That's
mean,
what
they're
they look
big
like.
nipples. I mean,
Big nipples,
you know,
offset, 0 out of 10 on the nipple. Getting placement game, Brian. First of all, if you're going to get into the community, you might want to get the nipples straight, going the same direction all the time. Number one. Number two, there we go. Look at those hooters. One is going completely to the right, the other is going to like a kind of center left. And there's Brian, not dressed as a person with a fetish for giant fake prosthetic boobies and pink hot pants. On the right, with former DHS Secretary Kristi Noem. These are not balloons. This is a set. This this comes in a set. And interesting, I've done a little research. This actually can come with a little prosthetic set of hooters that Kristi Noem's husband, former DHS Secretary Kristi Noem's husband, would wear on chat sites and in videos and send pictures to other women about how big he wanted. We'll get to some of those, chats and screenshots from the chats. I have some here. We'll get to some of those today. Trust me. Today is going to be the five stack for you if you love Schadenfreude, everybody.
I mean, the Daily Mail obtained hundreds of messages between
Oh,
Brian and three women containing a lot of these explicit cross-dressing photos,
yeah.
and it's quite explicit, but it is him talking to other women, so it's not really a fetish that includes sort of sexual fluidity on this scale. He's just dressing. The
It's a
images may have
kink,
been leaked
right?
as well.
It's sort of like how Like, I really love this one television show called The Curse of Oak Island. It's a treasure hunting show with
Okay.
Rick and Marty Lagina. I've been watching the show for 15 years. Every time I talk to someone about it, they're like, "You watch what?" I'm like, don't question me. I like watching guys dig for treasure. I can't
Yeah.
explain it. It's my kink. This is a very different kink because what I haven't been doing on my off days is running around trying to put people who like treasure hunting in jail, trying to take away treasure hunters' rights.
I
Like,
know, but this is not something that he is against the rules of even a Bible. You're allowed to dress up as anything you want to dress up as. I mean, it's not,
oh, this
it's
is definitely against the
cosplay.
rules in the Bible, by the
It
way.
is against the
Definitely.
rules of the Bible.
Yeah.
I think the
This and
Schadenfreude
this.
here is that the images were leaked by an undocumented immigrant, or allegedly leaked by an undocumented immigrant, in an attempt to get some retribution over Trump's Department of Homeland Security deportation
No
policies.
way.
Yeah, that's the actual. That's where they think this originated from. It was an act of revenge by an undocumented worker.
I
And the other thing
love
is
it. I
absolutely.
love it. Like, what?
It's just
And then
that's
see,
what.
and this is the problem. This is what people don't understand when they get into politics. And their husband is a decades-long cross-dresser with giant fake prosthetic titties on a website called bimbofication.com, who likes to talk about being a slave and 3000cc Hooters. And by the way, I talked about the 3000cc Hooters. That's what his big goal was in life, 3000cc's. And it was hilarious because Ken Harbaugh and I had a podcast today.
Mm.
And in the chat, it's like, I'm pretty sure 3000 cc's is impossible. I'm like, I don't even know what it is.
I have no idea.
But to your point, the railing, the absolute fucking disaster of marginalizing the trans community and cross-dressers, and Kristi Noem, who herself dozens of times, and Byron Noem, who stood with her and reiterated and repeated and cosplayed like these guys had a fucking axe to grind on behalf of their Lord and Savior Jesus Christ against, wait for it, mentally ill people men or women who got dressed up as the opposite sex. Okay? You can put whatever you want on it. You can label it whatever you want. This is the Schadenfreude story of the year, number one. Number two, I have a question for you. Maybe you can clear this up. Is he trans or is he cross-dresser? And
No,
does
no,
this
no. This
mean
is
he
not
likes
trans.
women or he's
Not
presenting
trans.
himself as a woman for other men? Help
This
me
is
understand this.
cross-dressing. This is, I mean, at best, it's cross-dressing. And they like this other term of bimbofication. Fine,
At
go for it.
best.
But the it's not trans. I mean, and that's, she's not in any way changing his birth gender. He's not doing anything like that. He's just putting, and he might want to at some point, but certainly that doesn't seem to be where he's at. He seems to be just enjoying. I don't know. I'm not going to try to speak for him. He seems to have just
Makeup,
this fetish.
duck lips,
Giant boobs, like
titties,
really huge boobs, which is just interesting.
The biggest. And listen, I'm an appreciator of that area of the female anatomy. I really am.
Yeah.
But I mean, his boob game is off. His nipple game is terrible. Like
That's the
you got
point.
you got the at you for you nipples. One's looking at you, one's looking for you. Right? They're all over here. And it's the duck lips and the light pink lipstick that matches hot pink spandex hot pants that really get me in this picture.
Yeah, look,
That's Kristi Noem's husband. Can you imagine
by the
what
way,
it's like for him walking into Walgreens today, going to pick up some Neocitrin?
She says that she's completely blindsided and is
Yeah,
devastated.
right.
And in what must be the most ironic statement ever in the world, she's asking people for privacy, having spent months invading people's privacy by barging into their homes to check their documents to see if they're allowed to be American. So it's another bit of Schadenfreude there. It's her asking for privacy is a little ridiculous, having done what she did.
That's the fucking thing I've heard all day. She's like, I need privacy. This is the same woman who said, we're going to come to your house. We're going to barge in. We're going to fucking take your grandpa. We're going to take your kids. Alex Pretty was a terrorist.
Mm-hmm.
We shot him in fucking cold blood. That's her. That's who that is. It is Kristi fucking Noem. That's her. She's like, I want privacy. We're healing. And here's the great part. And this is why I fucking love the evangelical cult. And this version of MAGA is a sect of the evangelical cult. Brian Noem today says, I believe marriage is forever. We're going to work this out. No, you're not. There's no working this out.
Well, they
There
probably
is,
had worked it out already. You don't think they had worked it out? I mean, you think the fact that
dude.
she was having an affair with Corey Lewandowski
Oh,
the
she
whole
was
time was
fucking him
not.
on Air
Yeah.
Fuck One, as Steve calls it.
So
Yeah.
Brian
For
knew. Brian
5 years.
knew.
They've
Yeah.
been fucking each other for 5 years. They've been
So it's
banging each
not
other
like
for
this was
five
an
years.
arrangement. This was
I can
okay. I'm okay
guarantee
with
you,
you.
dude. And here's the funny part. I was talking with Steve. We went to the baseball game last night.
Yeah.
Steve Schmidt actually put out a picture of me, Congressman Riggleman, Denver Schmidt at the baseball game. And I'm like, the U.S. brain drain is on. It's real. Everybody's moving to Canada. A lot of people got really mad.
But it's true.
Anyway,
There's a lot of people moving to Canada.
But and Denver Riggleman's not moving to Canada. Just let me point that out. He's just up here. We're hanging out. Anyway, long story short is that Kristi Noem, right?
Mhm.
Sorry, refresh my memory. Where were we just 2 seconds ago?
We were talking about the privacy and about
the privacy thing,
being blindsided.
Yeah, Kristi and Steve said this on the podcast a couple days ago. We were talking about a cuck chair. Like he was laughing. He's like, Kristi Noem's out. Got to, Brian's got to remove the cuck chair from the corner. He's got to put it back in the dining room.
You were saying that they're going to work it out.
I got to tell you, that's part of the narrative here. We'll get to some of the text, but part of the narrative around Kristi Noem and her husband Brian coming out as a cross-dresser with these salacious pictures in these chats, which are fucking gross, weird, cool, not going to kink shame, but like for a guy that presented himself as a evangelical Christian who was above reproach, who hated gay people and trans people and kinky sex, this is something.
Yeah.
But the funny part is that I've seen certain, writings, certain attestations to the fact that indeed Brian Noem liked to watch.
Like to watch
Kristi.
Oh. Listen, people's sexuality, they're allowed to develop.
It's your thing.
It's okay. Everything's okay. I wish the GOP would realize it's okay. What's not okay is damning other people to hell and passing legislation and conversion therapy laws when you yourself are engaged in equally, out there or more out there things than even your legislation is targeted at. I mean, the fact that they are going after trans people around America in the way that they are, and these are people who are medically decided and with the consultation of their lawyers and their health providers, have decided that this is the path that they got to take in order to become the people that they are. For them to be going after those people, and then at the same time having these private fetishes, whatever you want to call them, that to me is where the real problem is. Yeah, I mean, it's not. They're allowed to do what they want to do. They're, I support them. Go for it, but don't go telling somebody else that what they're doing is wrong, because until you've cleaned up your own side of the sidewalk and of the sidewalk, because it's not the hypocrisy of the GOP regime of this administration at every single point just drives me completely nuts. Everything they say is a complete opposite of what they are, or the truth as well. You've got the president going on TV tonight at 9 p.m. to tell people that he could win the war in another 2 or 3 weeks when he's already lost the war. I mean, there's just there's no veracity to anything that they're saying. They're going after trans people because it's popular to go after trans people. They can get the suburban vote if they go after trans people. But his own Homeland Security secretary, her husband is involved in this, cross-dressing phenomenon. And he's also watching, as you say, her and her lover do things. I mean,
have
all
an
good.
affair on Air Fuck One. Yeah.
On the jet that we've all paid for.
And apparently Byron, and the fascinating thing is the day before she got fired, she was in front of the House Intelligence Committee. I don't know if you remember this, and she was sitting there kind of answering questions, and she fucking blew it. They're like, one congresswoman was like, "Hey, are you fucking Corey Lewandowski?" And she's like, oh, "That's ridiculous,"
but didn't deny it.
And then they asked her again. She's like, "Yeah, you might think it's ridiculous, but yes or no? Are you banging your chief of staff, Corey Lewandowski, on Airfuck One. And by the way, that was the Save America movement that made that happen. So congratulations to those beautiful people.
Mhm.
And she's like, you guys are crazy. She didn't say no. And
You don't want to
behind
perjure
her on
yourself,
the
right?
left-hand side, you saw Brian, probably in a pair of nice, tight, frilly panties underneath his suit. Brian Noem, right
Yeah.
here behind her,
By
going
her
like
side.
this.
Mhm.
And I'm like, and Steve called it. He's like, he's got a cuck chair in the bedroom. He's got.
I mean, it's okay. It's okay, Brian. It's okay to do that stuff. I don't want
Yeah,
people to feel
Brian.
ashamed of what they're doing, because it's important that people have confidence and they, and they explore their sexuality. It's a good thing
You know,
to
one of
do.
the things, and let me just say this, I will say, and big ups to Bry, right? Big ups to
Mhm.
Bry for this one thing, right? Sure, you had to hide it. Glad it's out. He's probably relieved, honestly. If anybody
Yeah.
understands the space of any human being who is got this closely guarded secret about wanting to dress a certain way, or has a sexual proclivity, or has different interests that are unacceptable to the norm, when they come out, and you know this as a gay man, when you come out,
Mm.
there's this freedom that you have. I've heard it from so many of my friends, including a trans friend who transitioned, who told me, I went through, it cost me 110 grand. It was unbelievably painful. It was a horrific experience, but I am so grateful that I did it, because I get to be who I am. Brian now gets to be who he was. And there was a quote the other day from somebody who was like, when reached for comment, Brian was like, yeah, it's what I do. And I'm like,
Mm.
attaboy, Brian. Like that. I like Brian. No, I
Yeah.
do.
I
But
would
as long
invite
as
him on the
Brian
show. I would
Noem
have a good
turns the
chat with
page
him.
on the other shit, right?
Yeah. Yeah. But on the other hand, do you think the Trump administration got a heads up on this and this is why she was fired? Because I think that's also really possible, that they knew this was coming and they were like,
Big time.
oh, you better jettison her, which is problematic as well. I mean, it's, this is their way of hiding this thing as before it came out, when again, they should have owned it. They should have just owned it. They said, hey, we're aware of this. We're aware of this thing. Good for Brian.
You know what I wonder? I'll
Great
tell you
boobs.
just a process thing before we get to story number 5.
Yeah.
Or maybe this is story 5 and we get to story 4 and that's story 5. Who knows? I fuck everything up.
It's okay.
But
We know it.
the interesting part of this whole thing, like I said before, is I don't know if you saw the size of those guns, those
Yeah.
hoots, those
It's big.
those sweater puppies. How do you hide those from Christy Noem? Like, how do you hide those from the DHS?
I mean, I don't think he was hiding it. I think that what you've been describing is a relationship which allows for this kind of fluidity and this kind
Oh
of
yeah,
experimentation.
she knew. She's not
She
She's
knew.
devastated. You found out. She's not devastated. This is going on. Christy Noem, 100% knew.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it seems hard to imagine
Do you have some?
otherwise.
Let's just do this as story 5. Do you have some of those fucking texts? Because
I
I
don't have
want
the
to read you.
text. I don't have the text. I
Oh, I
never got
do.
the, but I can try. Yeah, we'll go for it. I was going to do the next story, but
Oh,
you go
I got the
ahead.
text.
Okay, tell us about what's going on there, and maybe
So
I'll find some on your site as well. Oh, yeah, these are on your site.
yeah, I mean, like, it's so funny. I mean, the dude's like, he loves pink. He loves the color pink.
Hey, I like pink
So,
too. Don't people like pink? I like pink. It's a good color. Don't knock pink.
so on this website, you can give tributes. You can pay people that you chat with, and on in one exchange, Brian paid someone called SJ, and the title is SJ, but the name, like, when you put someone's name in and the business that they work for, right? In my phone, Zev Schleb will come up, it would just say narrative underneath it. This one is SJ, and it says slave underneath it. That's cool. Someone's like asks Brian, "How's your drink?" Because he's drinking, chatting, right? As you do when you put on a fake set of Hooters, you get a scotch and you hang out. Amazing, he says, and then she says $20,000 amazing, and he's like, "I'm not quite yet. Don't know what that means. Sounds like a need for another one, but I want big silicone for you," he says to the woman. "We will work up to a good size. Thank you, God," Brian says. "What's your drink of choice?" This is it. This is it. Yeah, you got it. "What's your drink of choice, slave?" She asked Brian. He goes, "Guess." He goes, "Bourbon or scotch?" And then The next text, and this is out of context, but the next text is, he says something about long hair, big lips, boobs, like something. To me, that's something that, he tells you the interest. These are my interests. Good. I'll make you the prettiest trans girl ever, because he wants long hair, big lips, and boobs. And if you looked at some of the pictures, he's doing the duck lips, trying to have big lips. He really wants big lips. He wants boobs. So now you're getting kind of some insight into the trans community, into the
Well, not the
cross-dressing
trans
community.
community. I don't think
Sorry, the
it's a cross-dressing
cross-dressing
community.
community.
Yeah.
Things that they love, things that, thank you for correcting me. I appreciate that.
Mhm.
It's nice having you ride side saddle today, because you're gonna keep me out of trouble. Um, so this person he's communicating with says, good, I'll make you the prettiest trans girl ever. So fuckable. And then he says he also wants, quotes, pierced boobs. Are we
Okay.
keeping the sausage, the eggplant, the penis? He says, yes. Who doesn't love a girl cock? She says. He says, exactly. Call, like she's going to call him, especially in a lace thong, in bed.
Okay.
Okay,
There
he
was something
says,
there. That's too much. That is
tomorrow.
too much. That is too much,
So
Dean.
now we're into a different territory, right? I read that
Now,
today.
I
I'm
mean,
like,
this is the
okay, it
whole. That
sounds
is a
like he's
trans
interested in
conversation.
transitioning.
Yeah, it does sound like he does, and I'm gonna not even try read into what his intentions are, because I don't think we should. I think we should just move into the next story.
Okay, sorry, dude. I'm trying to suss through this because I don't understand it. This is a new world for me, and so I feel sorry for the guy, because in the piece that I put together, he looks like a nice man.
I'm sure
He
he's a
looks like
great
a nice
guy.
guy. I'm
Everyone
sure
would
he's a
like
good
Brian.
dude.
He's a good guy. He's got
And I
nice
feel sorry for them. He
features.
has to carry this around. Like, I feel sorry for, and it was interesting because it let me into that world a little bit. So there's like an educational aspect to this. But it is Kristi Noem. She did execute some Americans. She did hurt hundreds of thousands of migrants and people of color in the name of Jesus. She hates trans people and cross-dressers. So I can't ignore that either. My apologies.
No, you don't have to apologize. I think it's no one needs to apologize for anything. I'm just it's my sensitivity around just people. This is private stuff. This is private stuff. I don't know. I don't know if we need to get into his thing. But on the other hand, it is about the husband of the woman who is going to be in charge of probably putting a whole bunch of LGBTQ people in concentration camps, or would have been had she stayed in her position. So, exposing that kind of thing is important, and it makes you think about who else in the GOP might be involved in that different types of LGBTQ behavior, whatever it is.
And you know what? I'm not the
And
guy to out anybody like Matt
mm,
Schlapp or Lindsey Graham, but I
yeah,
would put my money there.
well, I mean, that's given, I think. But it is remarkable that so many of them are behind the scenes in the closet doing the kind of things that they're going to criminalize and throw people into concentration camps down the line. The kind of the SCOTUS yesterday approving the conversion therapy again. I mean, this is what's next. Concentration camps is really what's next. That's where they're going, which is why this is an important story. But on the other hand, he deserves as much space to deal with it as he can and come to terms with it on his own.
I think if it's a regular person, yes. This is
Mhm.
not a regular person. This is not. This is. I just read that an illegal immigrant / sex worker put this out, which is
Mhm.
funny, right? Who
Mhm.
was on the app, who understood who this person was, which is really funny. I got to tell you, I wouldn't put it past the Trumps for engineering.
Well, I'm sure that's one of the reasons there would have been. Oh, actually, maybe it's in the Daily Mail, which is always a questionable thing. Can we move on though? Because I'm sweating. I'm so uncomfortable.
Oh yeah, totally. I'm not.
Number 4 on the countdown. President Donald Trump unveiled renderings of his presidential library Monday. We showed you the renderings of that. A Miami skyscraper with his name on it, a gold statue of himself with his fist raised, a golden escalator, and Air Force One in the lobby. Then he told reporters this today.
You're the photo of what will be the Trump Presidential Library. Yeah. It's a huge skyscraper. Is that all a library? What else is going in there?
Well, it's a library. It's a museum or a library. It's a presidential. But I wouldn't start it till I'm out of office. I don't believe in building libraries or museums. It's really like the Barack Hussein Obama one in Chicago. in not a good location, and it's a very unattractive building that's seriously late and seriously over budget. I think you're going to see a great one here, and it'll go up on time, on budget, best location in Miami. They say it's the best block in Miami, and the state worked with us.
Will people live in the floors?
No, it's going to be most likely a hotel. You know, this concept could be office, but it's most likely going to be a hotel with a beautiful building underneath and a 747 Air Force One in the lobby, which is going to be a trick.
Why build a library or a museum when you can build a hotel? I mean,
Can you play
why
that?
not?
Can you play that one more time, and
Yeah.
I'll tell you where to
Your
stop.
son Eric posted a photo of what will be the Trump Presidential Library. It's a huge skyscraper. Is that all a library? What else is going in there?
Well, it's a library. It's a museum, a library. It's a presidential, but I wouldn't start it till I'm out of office. I don't believe in building libraries or museums. It's really like
Stop.
Yeah.
I don't believe in building libraries.
Museums. Yeah. It's because he doesn't read anything. He hasn't read a book. I mean, I think since Mein Kampf or whatever it was on his
Yeah,
bedside
it was his
table.
favorite book of all time, Mein Kampf, and then the Bible right after that, which should tell you
Yeah,
something.
sure.
Dude, I mean, you know, this building is $500 million, which means it'll be $1.5 billion. This building is a money laundering opportunity. This is Trump Tower in Miami, but with a real presidential feel, because he's going to co-opt the entire brand, the seal of the president of the United States. And foreign companies are going to dump money into this thing, and he's going to turn this into a way for his family to get paid for generations and generations and generations. That's all this is. But let's focus on, I don't believe in libraries or museums. That is a man who doesn't give a fuck about the history of the United States. He doesn't give a shit about the process of learning. He doesn't give a fuck about education. He doesn't give a shit about anything that is the foundation of the United States of America, just in that one statement alone, bud.
Because these libraries that presidents get to build are meant to be places to study their record. They're not, or whatever they might want it to be. Maybe it's a place where they can study public service, as Barack Obama has done. It's not meant to be a place you can make money off, except for Donald Trump. He's the first one who's ever decided, well, let me pimp out this thing that I'm going to get for free. He got this piece of land, the 2.6 acre piece of land that's really important land, by the way, from Miami-Dade College, which is a university that really needs this land. It's a public institution. It's public land. He shouldn't be given it for a total of $10. $10. And now he's going to turn that into a private hotel. He's going to take all this foreign money, all the foreign emoluments from these corrupt governments, so the Saudis, the Qataris, the UAE, the Russians, whoever it is wants to pour it into him, are going to and then build this hotel there. And then he's going to stick, the Air Force One, which is another public thing, inside the lobby, and not make it a place of study, and not make it a place where people can look through his archives and look through his records, because he doesn't want to have any of those. Instead, he's just going to pimp it out and let people stay there as a hotel. So what was going to be land that was going to be a public learning institution at Miami-Dade has been stolen from that university, has been stolen from that community, and has now been transferred to the president of the United States, the most corrupt ever president of the United States, who's going to turn it into a hotel.
A felon, a rapist. Yeah. Continue.
Yeah. I mean, it's the level of doing it out in the open, and just saying it out loud now is so gross, because they know they can get away with it.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a money laundering center. This is a convention hall. This is a hotel. This is a place for people to pay 5 times what the market value for a condo is, just to say thanks to Donald Trump, or curate influence with the Trump sons, Trump boys, to get involved in the military industrial complex, to trade secrets. They'll have skiffs in there. They'll have an underground bunker there. They'll do it all. This is literally the fiefdom of the Trump regime and the royal Trump family. That is what he is building in a city and in a place where they are so sorely dense that a school was forced. And by the way, they didn't gift it to him. He forced them to do it. He told this school, this is the plot of land we want. You're going to give it to me. And they're like, well, there's got to be a dollar amount attached to it. Like, you got to pay us for it. He goes, I will, $10, and I'll let you keep your funding. And they're like, okay. Here's a fucking city block, asshole, so you can start your own money laundering facility in a massive skyscraper, not a library, not a small building, not like in Chicago. And I believe Obama's library is huge, but he put it in a low-income neighborhood so he could revitalize the neighborhood for the fucking city.
Yeah.
This is right downtown. This is in the heart of all of it in Miami,
And he's
it
got
is
his
fucking
public service
monumental
institute.
joke.
Yeah, where he's helping people for future leaders to develop their
Yeah.
skills. I mean, Obama's doing the right things with his library. This is not the right thing. And it's just, it's the goal of it. They want to make money off everything. It's not just like they're okay with it. We just want a little piece of the pie for ourselves so we can, have a future. They're making money off the ballroom, the $400 million ballroom that they're putting together. They're making money off the Qatari jet that they're being handed over by the Qataris. They're making money off oil. God knows how much oil shares or things he's been given by the Russians and the Iranians in order to keep up this campaign against Iran. Every single thing is only viewed as a money-making opportunity for these guys. There's not a single thing that is about public service or helping the community or helping Americans. He doesn't give a shit about the $4 or $5 a gallon gas that's coming because he just doesn't care. He cares about how much money he can have. And the thing is, how much money do you need? I mean, how many billions does a person really need? In this case, the president's got $1 billion, maybe he's got 10 billion. Does he need what, 20, 30 billion? What difference is it going to make to the world or to him if he has that much money? But for some reason, he wants it.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you why he wants it, because the same reason that he used to call radio stations and newspapers and magazines and pretend he was his own PR guy named John Barron, which he did like 3 weeks. There's great audio of him calling someone. Hi, it's John Barron. You're like, sure, this isn't Donald Trump? No, it's John Barron. All right, I'm John Barron.
He didn't even use a different name.
Yeah, I mean, Donald John Trump. His son's name's Barron. It's his voice. It's him. And his whole thing is, I need people to know that I am in the team. I'm in the category of the world elites. So that's all he gives a shit about. That's it.
But he is already. I mean, no one thinks of him as like an everyman. He's already that guy, So I don't know what he's getting out of this, this particular exercise that he's doing.
But he's not. Technically, you would say he is because of the office that he occupies. But it's like anything that Donald Trump has ever accomplished. He's done it on the back of a licensing deal. He is licensing the United States of America right now for his popularity, for his influence, to be able to make money, to get people to give him the shit. If this is Donald Trump, if this is just Donald Trump, the business guy, and he doesn't have Jeffrey Epstein as his best friend, if he's not laundering money for the fucking Russian mafia for the past 50 years, he's nothing. He's nothing. He's a fucking mattress salesman. I was thinking about it last night. He's the fucking Billy Mays of presidents. He is a fucking mattress/vodka salesman. That's all he is. And he's managed to capture the White House because he was doing money laundering.
And as we move into the number 3 story, Dean, you've gone black, and maybe you'll get back. The number 3 story: the Supreme Court heard oral arguments today on President Trump's executive order to strip birthright citizenship from children born in the United States to undocumented parents. His own appointees tore the argument apart. We're going to play you some clips. Let's begin with Justice Roberts.
Obviously, put a lot of to the action thereof. But the examples you give to support that strike me as very quirky. Children of ambassadors, children of enemies during a hostile invasion, children on warships. And then you expand it to the whole class of illegal aliens are here in the country. I'm not quite sure how you can get to that big group from such tiny and sort of idiosyncratic examples.
And Justice Kagan.
Howard, that what you just said suggests that you can't be arguing in the way Justice Alito suggests, because most of your brief is not about illegal aliens. Most of your brief is about people who are just temporarily in the country, where there was quite clearly an experience of, an understanding of, that there were going to be temporary inhabitants. And your whole theory of the case is built on that group. You don't get to talking about undocumented persons until quite later.
And Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson.
How does this work? Are you suggesting that when a baby is born, people have to have documents, present documents? Is this happening in the delivery room? How are we determining when or whether a newborn child is a citizen of the United States under your rule?
And I think that's directly addressed in the SSA guidance that's cited in our brief. What SSA says is there's currently a system where, for example, Social Security numbers are generated based on the birth certificate. They say this can still be, for the vast majority of instances, completely transparent. You will still get a...
No, not transparent. I'm just talking about the particulars, because now you say your rule turns on whether the person intended to stay in the United States. And I think Justice Barrett brought this up. So are we bringing pregnant women in for depositions? What are we doing to figure this out?
No, as I pointed out earlier, the executive order turns on lawfulness of status. So if you give birth to a baby in the hospital right now, it gets the birth certificate in the system. There's a computer system.
So there's no opportunity. There's apparently no opportunity then for the person to prove or to say that they actually intended to stay in the United States.
Absolutely not. The opposite is true. Their opportunity to dispute if they think they were wrongly denied, which would only happen in a tiny minority of cases,
After the
is
fact.
directly addressed in that guidance.
After the fact.
Yes.
After their baby has been denied citizenship, then we can go through the process.
Yes. And the way that, I mean, I'm summarizing because I'm not an expert in computers, but there's a computer program that currently automatically generates a Social Security number.
So they didn't love it. Nobody loved it, really. They were all sort of asking, how on earth are you going to do this? And then some of them pointed out that, what does it do, for example, to the slaves who the 14th Amendment was originally written for? And I think the answer was, well, you can't re-enslave people. But that's what they would sort of go down that road. It's kind of nonsensical. It's a non-starter, but it's where this administration is at. And it seems to me that the justices are handing Donald Trump another loss here. But we'll only know next July or thereabouts.
Yeah, it's a long time to wait, right? And when you get a Supreme Court decision, you lean on the conversations that they're having with the parties involved, right? Like that's one of the things, and you can hear, the doubt, you can hear the questions, and those questions and that doubt usually end up in a result, right? So that result that we're probably going to see from this is, that Donald Trump's an idiot. His excuses he was using for birthright citizenships were for temporary individuals that were captured or people who arrived in the United States who had a child. But then they've extrapolated that out to include, that means they're all fucking terrorists and terrible people, right? Yeah. Like we can't have that here, like an emergency when it comes to the United States of America, like a national security emergency, which is what this EO is based in. And that's really fucking important for everybody to understand, is what Donald Trump was saying is that, based on the idea and his regime, we're saying based on to this fucking Supreme Court of the United States, which has given him a lot of fucking runway to begin with. And they're saying to him, or he's saying to them, hey, listen, anybody that comes here and has a baby, if they're not a citizen, they're here to do bad things to terrible fucking white people. Like that's what they're here for. We got to protect the whites. We got to protect the whites from all these black people. Got to protect the whites from all the Filipinos. We got to protect the whites. And so he's hoping that resonates with a certain subset of people, and it might resonate with Alito. It might even resonate with Clarence Thomas, which is fucking hilarious. Yeah, Clarence Thomas would sell his own people out if he had a fucking dollar. But,
has already, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. This is going to end poorly for Donald Trump, and it will sicken Donald Trump. But there is no way Donald Trump has the capability with the argument that he presented, which is total bullshit. We all knew it. Was that temporary fucking people who were born in the United States from other countries were automatically a threat based on whatever explanation he chose to find, right?
Never mind people just temporarily here. The people first here. So this is the highlight moment, I think, of the entire thing. Justice Neil Gorsuch asked the Solicitor General there what his thoughts were about Native Americans. Do they get to keep their birthright citizenship?
I think Native Americans today are birthright citizens under your test and under your friend's test.
I think so. I mean, obviously they've been granted citizenship by statute.
Put aside the statute. Do you think they're birthright citizens?
No, I think the clear understanding that everybody agrees in the congressional debates is that the children of tribal Indians are not birthright citizens.
I understand that's what they said, but your test is the domicile of the parents, and that would be the test you'd have us apply today, right?
Yes. So if a tribal Indian, for example, gives up allegiance to...
Born today, birthright citizens.
I think so on our test, yeah. If they're lawfully domiciled here.
Okay.
I'm not sure. I have to think that through, but that's my reaction.
Thought about it yet?
Yes, that's all right.
John Sachs. So I don't know. I haven't thought about whether or not Indians who were born in the United States of America over the past 250 years are allowed to count themselves as fucking Americans. You're on their soil, dickhead.
Yeah, you're
What's
not
some
allowed to
fucking
count yourself as an
constitutional
American.
fucking expert? What a moron.
Yeah, that
What
really
a
is
fucking
devastating.
asshole.
Devastating. I mean, Native Americans obviously have a right to be where they are. They were here well before anybody else, and it's these guys. It's Justice Gorsuch and Sauer who, you know, they don't have a right to be here. Realistically, if you're going to apply this to the letter of their new proposed law, so it's complete bullshit. Obviously, it's not going to pass.
Even the fact that he goes like, "What about Native Americans who were born in Canada?
and
Tribal
like,
Americans, tribal Indians?" And he's like, "Yeah." He goes, "I don't know." I'm like,
he said the constitution, the congressional GOP people, actually, they don't think of them as being Americans. Just at what
here's
point?
a little known fact: there's
Yeah.
supposed to be a member, not just one, but several members of the indigenous tribes of the United States with representation in Congress and the Senate. There are none. They've just
Really?
simply fucking yeah. I was talking to Steve about it the other day. According to the Constitution, the House is supposed to have a member or members of tribes across the United States that represent First Nations members of the United States of America. Same thing here in Canada. And it's a shame that it doesn't happen. And I hope Mark Carney decides to, because he's a big proponent of the Indigenous communities in this country. And we in Canada have a very different perspective. And I think it's really important to remember what the perspective here is in Canada. Because if you go back in time, and you think about the days of Custer, and you think about the days of Cochise, and you think about the Civil War, post-Civil War, mid to late 1800s, and the wipeout, the attempted wipeout of American indigenous population with residential schools, with the army going in to clear out reservations. It was worse in Canada. It was worse in Canada. We had the 60s scoop. We used the RCMP even in the 1960s to go and tear children away from their parents. We tried to murder an entire population of indigenous people with fucking smallpox blankets. We have put them on reservations and told them that they can't even fucking hire a Canadian lawyer for any issues that they have. They're not allowed to have. The Indian Act is one of the most brutal acts ever delivered by the Canadian government to the people and this country of Canada. So, having a very, very serious, deep understanding of the Indian Act and how Indigenous people were the first people of this country were treated. When you look at what's going on in the United States, and then you think about that answer that John Sauer gave, where he is unsure after 250 years whether or not Indigenous people who were born in the United States are allowed to be there, we've fucking gone back 200 years, dude. That is fucking unbelievable to me.
All I hear when I hear these guys talk is the apartheid regime. They were trying to used to parcel the races and figure out whether you could be a colored person or a black person or a white person. And there were a few people every year. There was a list published in South Africa under apartheid where you could shift your race officially. You could become from a black person to a colored person, or a colored person to a white person, based on a series of tests, which was so racist, like putting a pencil in your hair and seeing if it stuck in there or didn't. That was one of the tests that they did to figure out if you're. But
dude,
it's the same logic.
You know who else did that back in the day? Were the Nazis. They were obsessed with taking like cranium fucking sizes and eyes and measuring and like to the smallest detail to see which races were the strongest, who was what, right? The fact that
it becomes so
South Africa is something too. I've never heard
it becomes so artificial and so crazy that and you box yourself into corners, because you just these kind of arguments where you're like, well, of course the native people were here before you, they deserve citizenship, but under their thinking politically they can't say that, so they just find themselves in this legal contradiction they are trying to get out of there. But I don't think any of this is going to fly with the Supreme Court when we finally hear the
and you could tell by Judge Gorsuch's tone. He's like, no, you said domicile. I'd have to go and look. If you have to go and look, that means
I have to think about that.
You're just representing
You're arguing a case in front of the Supreme Court. You have to go think about it.
I don't know. I'll chat GPT this later, Your Honor.
I haven't quite thought about it yet. Will happen later.
Yeah, I haven't been through the details of this. Fuck, I'm arguing it, but I don't know.
That's the number one job, is just to know the arguments, dude. At 9 o'clock tonight, the President of the United States, this is story number 2, will be talking to the nation, an address to the nation, in which he'll say, amongst other things, that the Iran war / not war is it could end within 2, maybe 3 weeks, having previously said that they won the war a few weeks ago. Of course, it's not really a war. They're calling it a military operation, according to the administration. So depending where you find yourself on that sliding scale of facts, will you be watching at 9 o'clock tonight?
No, I'll be consuming clips from our friend Aaron Rupar after the fact. I'll be chatting with people about it. I want your thoughts on this. What do you think? How do you think he positions everything? And while I listen to your thoughts on this, I'm going to go to the bathroom because I've got my headset in, and you can tell me what you think he's going to say tonight, and I'll be back in 30 seconds, and we'll consume this. Because this, I know what's going to happen tonight, so I want your thoughts on it. Then we'll load the deck and talk about it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, I think I enjoy your trip to wherever it is you're going.
The bathroom.
Enjoy. Turn your microphone on. Oh, it's not that kind of microphone. Look, this president is going to try sell America on one thing only, that this is good for America, that the war in America is absolutely the best thing ever because the Khamenei is gone, the Ayatollah is gone, which makes the world a safer place. He's going to try to tell Americans that $4 a gallon of gas is just okay. It's something you should grin and bear because they got rid of that horrible Ayatollah Khamenei. And this will go on and on and on. We'll try to justify depleting our entire military arsenal for this alleged regime change that never took place. And he'll say, that's okay. And he's going to tell you that the Straits of Hormuz were never that important to America after all. And they're just going to let Iran have it because, let Iran have it. All of this, it's just lie after lie after lie after lie. This has been the most unsuccessful, the biggest failure of a military intervention of any kind by the President of the United States. Oil prices are uncontrollably high. They haven't really done regime change. They've done like a quasi-regime change, or maybe
they've done none of that,
maybe even made it worse with a much more radical regime. And the world hates America because they're fucking up the world's economy because the Straits of Hormuz are closed, which means they can't get their oil, which means oil prices and energy prices are going up everywhere in the world when they really should be going in the other direction. And it's just helping one country, which is Russia, and 2 countries, and Iran, actually, ironically. Those 2 countries, because the oil prices are going up, are making a killing, while the rest of the world suffers a stupid war. And who knows? He may even announce a ground offensive tonight. Who knows?
You've been paying attention. You're a smart guy.
I try.
You understand exactly the dilemma here. The dilemma will dictate the premise. The premise will be lies. The dilemma. What is he lying about? He's lying about the fact that the United States is getting their asses kicked in a war against Iran. They are getting their asses kicked. The pictures of AWACS that were fucking sawed in half by Iranian missiles, Stratotankers which were fucking absolutely demoed on the tarmac in Saudi Arabia, 17 U.S. military installations gone. This is Operation Cover the fucking shit up as fast as you can and offer 17 different narratives. So what are those narratives that assuage the dilemma? What are the lies that he's going to tell? To your point, completely agree. Let's go through those things. I think this is really important too. What's important to Donald Trump is that everybody thinks he's winning. And that's all we've seen from this regime. Rhetoric from Pete Hegseth talking about today, yesterday as well. We might just fucking peace out. We'll let you guys clean it up. No one's going to fucking take care of their business in the Middle East. Then that means we're leaving. But we have no business in the Middle East. So he's going to paint NATO as if we are somehow out to get the United States of America when nobody is. He started this war on his own. He didn't consult anybody with the help of Israel and Saudi Arabia. Now they're eating shit. And so that shit that he doesn't want to eat is the idea that, we're supposed to somehow go into the kitchen. He just took a shit in the middle of the floor and cleaned it up for him because why? Because he wants everybody to think that we're at his beck and call, where he's finding out we're not. So that's the fucking cherry that he's having a hard time telling everybody isn't a cherry. And that cherry for the rest of us is this, is that the free world is fucking awake, right? We know what's happening. The UK closed their airspace. France closed their airspace. Italy closed their airspace. Canada's going to close their fucking airspace to U.S. military equipment for the first time ever. This has happened already for the first time ever. We're not allowing them to incriminate us when it comes to an illegal war against a regime. And yes, IRGC, the Iranian regime, the Khomeini, they're terrible fucking people. They repress their people. I get it. But that happens in the United States too, to a lesser extent, but it happens in the United States too. So when we think about what he's going to talk to us tonight about, he's also going to have to present a picture where everybody else is going to have to fight their own reality at some point. And that reality in gas prices is the best reality, because it's all these fucking guys talk about, oil and gas prices. So let's talk about gas prices. The dilemma, the lie, the cover-up. The dilemma, $4 a gallon. In some states, $5 a gallon. I saw screenshots today of $6.50 a gallon. I don't know from what states, but those are the ranges of price. $7 a gallon. He's going to try to tell you it's your patriotic duty. Under the shield and the umbrella of his Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, to get rid of the Muslim regime. He's going to tell you that a bunch of a bunch of hardline Muslim religious zealots, terrible people, they're terrorists, have spent all kinds of time hurting their own people. Not just hurting their own people, but it's in the best interest of everybody to understand that they were going to and this is really important to remember too, they were going to attack the United States of America. They were going to attack Israel. They were going to attack Christians. He's going to weave that a religious kind of manifest destiny narrative into the conversation today. And he's going to try to tell everybody that America's never been better. America has never been wealthier. America
Never
has
been
never been
safer.
safer. Never been safer. You just lost every U.S. military installation in the United States of America has in the Gulf. You are getting pounded everywhere you go. You just had Ukraine eat your lunch. MBS, Mohammed bin Salman, just was quoted today as saying, we are putting our relationship with the United States on fucking hold. And this is a week after Donald Trump stood up at some kind of fucking rally. He was like, MBS has to kiss my ass. This man is going to try to get all of that back in front of him and try to tell you it's no big deal because America's doing great and he's the chosen one and he's going to deliver America. And it was broken and we were a dead country. And if you don't believe me, you're going to die. That is what is going to happen tonight.
And everyone should be, that's a really good summary, by the way. That's really, really good. If you're thinking about who you're going to vote for, and I know none of this audience is thinking that much about it, but the House today tried to pass this bipartisan war powers resolution introduced by Representative Thomas Massey and Ro Khanna, and it didn't pass, which means every Republican other than those two was fully in favor of supporting this war, which means when you see your gas prices go up and you see the stagflation happen and you see the inflation happening and the life in America is becoming more and more expensive and unaffordable. Remember this clip from Mike Johnson, I don't even have it, who said it's okay because it wasn't a war. He said it was an unconstitutional and frightening attempt to block the president's power because this isn't a war. It's a military operation. Everyone knows it's a military operation. We're not at war.
Military operation, yeah, which is
sounds like Vladimir Putin. I mean, that's the terminology. That's where they get it from. I'm not going to be watching at 9 o'clock because it's first night of Passover. But it's if you are watching, keep all those notes in mind. This guy is.
Are you observing? Are you observing Passover?
I always observe Passover, yeah, and the New Year.
Right.
I mean, I don't observe. I go and eat a lot and I drink a lot.
Yeah,
which is what you do. So I'm going to go do that.
Little Menashevitz. You're going to do some Menashevitz?
Yeah, there's some, always good food. There's always good food. So
I know, but the
I'm hungry.
problem with Passover, as I understand it, is a lot of it can bung you up. Like matzah is all in tonight, right? Matzah.
Yeah, matzah is very good, but it's it can have a constipating effect.
A constipating Passover. Well, listen,
but it's all about actually. It reminds me
to you, my friend. And
thank you. It is also. Thank you. Absolutely, same to everyone watching. It is a story about enslavement and freedom, and I'm always struck when I read the Haggadah, which is the book that we read every year in this long ceremony that we do while we attempt to eat dinner. It is a book about freedom, and it is a book about walking out of slavery in Egypt and finding the Holy Land and finding all of that, which might sound, in many people's minds.
It's allegory for those who don't share that faith, right?
it's not really what the Israeli government is doing right now. They're sort of doing the exact opposite. And I'm always reminded of how, we're only here because the Jewish people are only here because they did that stuff. They were, they did walk out of Egypt. They did all that survival under extreme circumstances. And the fact that we're doing that to other people right now is not what we're about. It's not what Israel's about. It's not what Jewish religion's about. And I hope everyone is reminded of that as they enjoy the food and drink and
and let me just say this is that you have to be able to nuance that conversation with any Jewish person, and I am very, very good friends with many Jewish people, and I'm not doing the whole, hey, I have Jewish friends so I'm entitled to jokes. I never joke about the Jewish community. I never minimize any culture. I minimize the extremes of different cultures, and I will go after them like an absolute sumbitch, but that's who I am because I don't give a shit. You misrepresent the whole. And the Jewish people in Israel are being misrepresented by Benjamin Netanyahu in as much as the American people are being misrepresented by Donald Trump. And not only is that important to remember, but it's really important to arrow down into that conversation with more of a meta sort of understanding of how to stay away from anti-Semitism, how to not paint entire groups with the same shitty brush. And that point is this, is that my parents are Christian people. I come from that faith. I come from the evangelical faith. But my parents are the good Christians. My parents are the Christians who think Jesus was a philosopher. They love the lessons of unconditional love, 2 Corinthians. They understand that their job is to make people's lives better. Their job is to love the sick and help the wounded. Their job is to stick up for those who need that Christ-like love that originally Jesus was apparently all about, right?
Supposed to be about, the original story.
And so that's been hijacked, in as much as being Jewish has been hijacked by Benjamin Netanyahu.
Yeah.
And same thing with Muslims, right? The same thing with Muslims. These are all Abrahamic faiths. The extremes always hijack the original purpose and the ideology and the operating system, which was supposed to make the world a bit of a better fucking place. So when you celebrate Passover this year, my Jewish friends, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart, reflect on that depending on where your political allegiances are. And this Easter, which is coming up very shortly as well, this weekend, I will be encouraging my evangelical/Christian friends and family members to be doing the same thing.
It's a good time to remember all these things. It ties into the number one story, which is kind of fascinating and disgusting all at the same time. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick, they actually call him the crypto secretary. He'd be better described as the crypto secretary or the Tether secretary. So Mr. Howard Lutnick, who's completely owned by the stablecoin Tether, stood behind President Trump in the Oval Office and laid out the plan to steal the federal elections. In a new executive order, the president are directing the Department of Homeland Security and the Social Security Administration to compile a national citizenship list of eligible voters. And they're instructing the U.S. Postal Service to deliver mail ballots only to names on that list. So it is completely unconstitutional, completely illegal. It's been challenged.
A national voter registry that they're going to get from the fucking U.S. Postal Service?
Well, they're going to give it to the U.S. Postal Service. So they're going to acquire.
Yeah, so that they know who to send the brochures.
Yeah, they're just going to send the mail-in votes to Republicans, basically, or white people. I don't know. I think that's what their plan is. So it's obviously unconstitutional. It's going to fail in the courts. But this is the level of desperation. And this is being done by Howard Lutnick, the man whose entire life's fortune is currently in the hands of Tether, the stablecoin that is at the basis of this entire cryptocurrency industry. And the same man Tether was under investigation by the previous administration for massive money laundering to the Russians. And here he is, owned by Tether, owned by crypto, telling people that he's going to compile. Why is he the one telling people that they're going to compile a citizenship list? Why is no other secretary doing that? It's got nothing to do with commerce. It's got to do with crypto. That's why he's doing it. The whole thing is just to keep him and his corrupt colleagues in power. And we shall see if it works.
Folks, are you listening to what Zev just said? The Commerce Secretary of the United States sold his entire book of business to a crypto company owned by a Russian group of oligarchs. Okay? Like, listen to that just for a quick second. And then let's have a conversation after that about your support for this regime. Let's have a conversation after that about your support for Howard Lutnick, who refuses to have this conversation, who refuses to talk about it, refuses to admit to it, while they're collecting tariff revenue from people who are desperate. So they're selling their, tariff losses to the Lutnick family at Cantor Fitzgerald for pennies on the dollar. He literally, prior to that, sold all of it to his kids, who got a loan from this crypto company owned by Russia.
They're not owned by Russia. I should say that they're
Russians.
they're not even technically Russians. There's some there are a range of Italians and Canadians in there, and a Thai person's in there. They all want to not admit that they're involved in this company because the number one pursuit of this company is money laundering of Russian money. So it's not Russian per se. It just allows for laundering of Russian money illegally taken by the Russians. So
Okay, sure.
I'm just
not technically owned by Russians, but neither was Tenant Media.
yeah.
Let me just point that out, right?
Of course, and neither
Same
Trump is
thing.
not Russian either, but technically,
Yeah.
technically not
Yeah.
Russian, but reality Russian.
It's stunning, and how anybody got through the vetting process, and at some point, and I think a good place to end. I think at some point, America is going to have to do a fucking very serious accounting of how loose they've become when it comes to super PACs, when it comes to taking in money, when it comes to taking on money, when it comes to what it allows its fucking elected officials to do. The electeds in the United States of America can day trade based on fucking personal information they have with people who want something from them. It is a fucking pandemic of wealth building, wealth taking, wealth stealing on behalf of congressmen and women, on behalf of senators, men and women. And it doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter who you are. It is fucking virtually impossible to curb that aspect of human nature that has that much power in the United States of America, because those laws exist to allow them to fucking do it.
The
They allow
corruption
them to
could not
fucking
be
do it.
worse. The
No.
corruption in government across the aisle, you name it, it is the worst it's ever been. And this president is the worst there has ever been in terms of corruption. And he is making his billions of dollars of crypto. His sidekick, Howard Lutnick, is owned by crypto. The whole thing is just a crypto venture, and it's designed to build himself a fortune, including a nice Miami hotel, I guess, on the other side of all of that. Dean Blundell, what a day I've had with you. All day we've been together.
Right.
And
We had breakfast together
Yeah,
today. By the way, everybody, just so you know, Zev Shalev is an imposing figure. When he showed up to my house today before we went and got breakfast, he had this incredible fucking coat on. By the way, love that coat, that three-quarter
thank
length
you.
coat that you have.
Yeah,
He had
yeah.
these like really cool kicks on. He's a well-dressed, good-looking gentleman, but he strikes an imposing figure. He is also jacked. I didn't know how jacked this guy was. No, you're pretty fucking jacked, dude. But the other side of that conversation that we had today was getting a chance to meet you. You might be one of the kindest souls I've ever met in my life. So it was a real pleasure to be able to kind of shake your hand, give you a fucking big Dino bear hug, and
Your hugs are
officially-
legendary
I'm a
and
great
amazing.
hugger.
That was a great hug.
Incredible.
And you're awesome. You did such a nice breakfast, and you're such a great guy. And I can't believe that we spent 3 or 4 hours in there. I don't know. And it just passed by so quickly. It's almost like we knew each other, which perhaps we do because we spent every day doing the FiveStack. And you're a gentleman and a great guy. And I'm glad we finally did that 1 year into this project, because who knows when we would have done it otherwise. So thank you for a great morning.
Thank
and
you.
a great
Thank
day.
you. It was great. And thank
yes.
you all for watching. Wanted to thank everybody. It's been a year. It's April 1st. Just to kind of tell tales out of school a little bit, and thank everybody for what they've done for us. We get a lot of that. We get a lot of people saying thank you. We get a lot of people saying, I really appreciate X or Y, your honesty, the information, the way you present it. The fact that you can make this malleable, or the fact that I can watch you and not be sickened to my stomach about Trump because of the way that we all present information. Listen, thank you. But thank you more importantly for being here, because none of this is possible without you. It's been a year for Zev and I. It's been a year for me now officially on Substack. And year one was an exercise in trusting again for me and trusting people. And the greatest honor, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart, the greatest honor of my life is that people give us their time. But unlike working for other companies and brands, because we don't work for brands or companies, we work on our own. We're our own people, and we've decided and chosen to work together, is the fact that you give us your hard-earned money in terms of, paid subscriptions. It's the ultimate compliment. And it also is the ultimate freedom for us to continue to do this on a daily basis, where we get to be in your life, you get to be in ours, but we also get to continue this relationship because we don't have a company that tells us we can't tell you the truth. We're not funded by billionaires and board members who don't want us to talk to you about certain people or certain things that are very fucking important to talk about right now, because they might know a guy who knows a guy who works with a guy who knows a guy, and that might affect his bottom line. We don't care about their bottom line. We don't work for anybody else. So the fact that you've been with us for a year is truly, absolutely amazing. And the fact that we get the ultimate compliment of having, of being your client, your partner in this world of information and information warfare, in a world where news is not readily available, and you trust us as much as you did to see the growth that we've all seen here. It is truly the honor of my lifetime. I've said it many times before, but please go to deanblundell.substack.com. Check out all we have there. Go to narrative.org. Check out everything that my friend Zev Shalev does. And join the resistance. Trust brands. Trust people whose words match their works, because that is the only currency that matters in the new realm.
Well said, Dean Blundell. And if you are interested in that incredible coverage of Brian Noem, you got to go check out dblundell.substack.com, because he's got full
titties.
coverage that I would not put up on on narrative.org. But it is interesting, and I read every last word of it, because it's important that everyone knows what's going on with the former Homeland Security's husband and the scandal around that and her desire for privacy. Couldn't believe what I was reading today. And you can read it all at deanblundell.substack.com. And that's the show today. We shall see you tomorrow, Dean, on the Thursday FiveStack. And we shall see you at home.
Thursday, FiveStack, 3:00. Bye, guys. Have a great day.
Cheers, everybody. Have a great day.